Welcome to today's mainstream with Harpreet Singh Toor. आप सबनों प्यार भरी सत श्री अकाल, नमस्कार, आदाब and shalom. You see my email. If you have questions, any issues which you would like me to discuss, please feel free to email me. I have been getting some messages when the people meet me and they talk about the show which I do here. But I really appreciate if somebody can definitely send me an email on it and other things which are also very important, because I also want to discuss what actually is on your mind also, whether politically it's American politics or world politics or Indian politics, which we everybody love to talk and discuss, even though we may be living in this country or these countries in Western countries for years. One question usually comes in between England, Canada, and America, which I will definitely discuss a little bit. But there are two other issues which I want to discuss today before I discuss all those things which I just touched. First of all, those 41 people who were trapped in that tunnel which collapsed, I got to admire those people who worked around the clock to provide first them some air, some food, and then making room so that they can come out alive. And all 41 who were actually stuck in that tunnel, they are alive. I have been hearing here and there that some of the people who actually, while still before the collapse, they were seeing or watching some of the debris falling, but not much attention was paid to it. Again, that goes down to typical way we in India we work, and also the pressure to finish some of the project on time without looking at the safety and security of the people who are working. Excuse me, it is really cold here. So that's, but the result is that they are all alive, they are all out. We'll know their condition, how they are down the road as we go. The second thing which I want to discuss with you is about the Sikh community in Western countries in general, and particularly what is happening around these days, especially with the killing of Mr. Nijjar in Canada and the Gurpatwant Singh Pannu's thing, which just had hit the head news in the last week, and what's going on. I always say there is a politics, there is a nation, there are people, okay? Nations have their own interests. The ruler have their own interests. And the public has their own view and their own interest also. And as we talk and we want to achieve certain things, one thing is for sure, okay? Democracy and democratic process is so important in today's world, even though the world is shifting more towards the dictatorship with the Putin, Xi, even though in India it is called democratic setup, but still it is democrat, but not really democratic setup the way we would expect, because if the media like Arundhati Roy has been charged, she said something in 2010 and 13 years later, more than 13 years later, she is being charged. So let us keep that out, but trying to come to the discussion which I am trying to make here. The Ambassador Sandhu, the ambassador to US, he came to Hicksville Gurdwara right here in Long Island in New York. And some people who always talk about Khalistan, and they go around. They have their own demand, their own set of doing the things the way they want to do it, or whatever their procedures are. They went in there to interrupt his visit there. Okay. As far as the administration is concerned, I think they were right when they were approached that they want to do a langar there, which they always do, and everybody they can do it. I really don't see any reason why not. Number one. Number two, in our Bani, when we start a Khand Path at the end during Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji's Naumi Pasha the slok, when we go through those sloks, we come across this thal which then vastu payo sat santokh vicharo. Basically, it is saying that there are three things which are right there. One of them is such, the truth. Number two, santokh means patience. Vicharo means discussion or conversation. All three are very important, and either one of them is not going to take anybody anywhere without the other one. So, Sach, Sat, Santokh, Vicharo. So, I can understand the frustration of the people who tried to, who raised some of the slogans about Khalistan, and they wanted to confront the ambassador and whatever they want to do. Looking into the background that the justice has not been provided into the 80s and even before that, especially to Punjab as a Punjab, the current Punjab in India, when the current Punjab was created in 1966 after the 1965 war. We should actually look at it from that perspective also, but to interrupt a visit like that is not something which should be appreciated or liked. I don't like that. I do have my own differences with a lot of groups, including the way the Indian government has taken to the Punjab solution so far. But it doesn't mean that I don't meet these people, I don't tell them what I think, or I don't hesitate. The people who really know me personally, they know me, that I do not mince the words to say what needs to be said. And actually, I was in Hicksville Gurdwara a couple of weeks ago, and one of the vice consular was there, who I knew because I meet the people out there whenever I go out. And we were having conversation, and I told him what I think about certain issues, including, about the Khalistan, why the demand for Khalistan is there and whatever is happening. But it doesn't mean that the people who are actually using their right should be abusing their rights in these countries. Okay, these countries have provided us safety. They provide us security. Actually, today itself, there was a delegation from Governor's office. We discussed a lot of Punjabi Sikh issues at Sikh Culture Society for more than an hour, discrimination and hate crime issues. So, if we have this government which is proactive, wants to protect you, wants to protect your rights, then we should not be taking law and order in our own hands. We want to protest something, you have the right to protest. You want to say the things, you have the right to say the things. You want to present a memorandum, you do have the right to present the memorandum. If the person refuses, mail it. Certified mail, they have to receive it, they cannot send it back, or FedEx. which is delivered. So there are ways to do the things. So I personally, what happened at Hicksville Gurdwara, I definitely condemn it. But at the same time, on the other side also, I personally am talking here through the people, the viewers, and letting the Consulate General and the Ambassador, Mr. Sandhu, that if he is serious to address this issue, then they need to find the ways how to get the justice done and how to communicate with the people which feel like they are not being paid attention to. When we go to the consulates, the treatment itself is not what I hear back, feedback which I get from the people, the treatment which they really appreciate, that those things need to be addressed. If you are out here, these consulars, they are out here, embassies and their consulate offices, they are out here to serve the community or communities, because India is a diverse country, then they need to provide, have proper respect and proper above the table operation. Anything which is happening, the back door, which is still happening, they need to shut those back doors and try to do it transparently, whatever the transactions are, whatever the issues are, and try to address it. I understand, again, there are national interests, there are issues, and based on the national interest, some of the things you can talk about, some of the things you can't talk about. So I personally, I would say that those issues are the issues which needs to be addressed. And also, I request to the people, those people who try to disrupt, for God's sake, stop it. And on top of that, we also need to understand that when we have our differences within the operations of the Gurdwara, and when we have our fights in the Gurdwara, it goes into the communities, not just our own community, but other communities also. You know, look at what kind of message you are sending out, what kind of message you are giving out to the young kids. Talk to the young kids. They actually refuse to come to the Gurdwaras because they openly tell you that this is what is happening and we don't like it. They don't come to even the educated people within the community. They will go to the Gurdwaras in off hours or odd hours because they don't want to deal with it. And whether they believe it or they don't believe it, ultimately at the end of the day, they need to learn how to deal with it, because they have to find the ways to communicate with the leadership of the Gurdwaras also. You just cannot ignore, like they say in Punjabi, billi nu dekh ke kabutar ne akhan band karni hai. That is not the way that you can resolve the issues. So having said that, let us take a break, and after the break we will go to the next issues which are very important, which affect nationally, internationally, United States, as well as us, the people who live in United States. Point, Israel and Hamas. The more hostages have been released, the ceasefire was extended by 2 days, and there is a discussion going on to extend it further. But in the meantime, Ukraine is in nobody's mind right now, and when you tune into the channels, doesn't matter what channel you tune into, they just talk about Hamas, and they talk about all this, what has been done to those hijacked people, hijacked Jews, and those 1,200 who died. But nobody is talking about what has been happening on this side of the border. And I'm bringing it, the information, so that you have your own opinion about it. First, how Israel was created. probably we all know about it, that in 1948 it was done after the World War II, and Palestinians were pushed out from where they were living for generations to create that area. Then there was a conversation, there was a war, Yom Kippur War, which is known in 1967, then 1971 also there was a war between Arabian countries and Israel. And so for Arabian countries at that time, it was how to just eliminate Israel from the map. Israel, with the help of Western countries and United States in particular, became what it is today. A country who has its own weapon system, who has its own intellectual intelligence, which even though they are saying that there was a failure on intellectuals or in the intelligence side on what happened here on October 7, I don't believe it. The reason is because Israeli intelligence is known, Mossad is known for what they do. Okay? But anyway, so at current situation, first let us talk about a little bit about Hamas, what Hamas is. Hamas is a group which actually rules the Gaza side of Palestinians, or whatever the Palestinian Authority or Palestinian Liberation Organization, PLO, which Yasser Arafat headed for till he died from the poison, which was, even though it has not been proved, but it appears that Israel had the hand into it. So in 2007, there was an election, and in that election, United States, George W. Bush was the president. United States knew that Hamas is going to win that election, and Palestinian Authority, they will lose that election. So first, they let the election go ahead, but once Hamas actually won, especially in Gaza, they decided not to hand over the power to Hamas, the Palestinian Authority at that time. So a war broke out between Palestinian Authority and Hamas, which is, you can say, sort of like a civil war, where Hamas in Gaza literally eliminated democratically and otherwise their leadership, pushing them out totally, and they took over Gaza completely. So Israel retaliated by blocking everything to Gaza. In the meantime, on West Bank side, which is ruled by Palestinian Authority, Israelis went on expanding their area, creating their own small communities, and pushing the Palestinians who were living in certain parts for generations. And you know, even today, if you go to certain parts of majority of the world, they don't have the documents who owned what part of the property. So the Jews from Israel, they will come and they will start harassing the family or families. They will try to push them. I'm talking about the West Bank, which is ruled by Palestinian Authority. And sooner or later, they will push them out, and the courts in Israel, they will give the judgment in favor of those Jews. And in the meantime, the houses of Palestinians who had been living in those houses for generations, they will be demolished, and here goes the expansion. So that is on the West Bank side. On Gaza Strip, in the meantime, it was so much controlled that the proper supply of everything was controlled by the Israeli government, and they don't want anything going to the Hamas, who actually rule. There are two wings of Hamas. One is, of course, the militarized wing, if I may say so, and the other one is the political side. And then also there is another group, I think it is Palestine Freedom something within Gaza. So they don't actually work with Hamas either. But in this operation in October 7, which Hamas did, they participated in it on their own. Now the question comes in, first of all, whatever was the history is, there has always been a question about two-state solution, but the current Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, known as Bibi, he actually wanted to take that option totally off the table, two-state solution. So he had been encouraging all these communities living close to the border on the West Bank to expand more into West Bank, ultimately make it impossible to have the separate states the way they look at it. Okay, so there is a frustration on Palestinian side, but taking the innocent people, killing them, raping and kidnapping, that is not the solution either. But then, when you talk to these people, they try to justify that we have no option. They do have option, and that option is basically to try to find out the ways to how to get their word out. If we really look at the media for last couple of years, there was no mention about what was happening in those occupied territories of West Bank, as well as what was happening in the Gaza. Now all of a sudden everything is out there, up in the front of everybody, and now nobody knows what to do and how to proceed. And with all due respect to the current administration in White House, the President Joe Biden and his team, believe it or not, even the Fox, which is a totally, completely critical of every step which Democrats do, they appreciated some of the work being done by the Secretary of the State, which actually we call Foreign Minister in India or in Western countries. The issue is how to have actual conversation, which I was talking in the first part, Sat Santokh Vicharo. Because everybody has their own agenda, they have their own way, and also how the things are projected out there by the media, that actually changes the perception and the mind of the people. And then for me, the issue comes in, when the universities and the students within the universities, that too right here in the United States, they start having all these fights about who can talk, who cannot talk, and who to harass, who to kill, because people got killed also after this happening on both sides, the Jews as well as Palestinians. No, that's not how you can actually understand the issue and try to find a solution to that issue, unless you talk, unless you listen. Talking at each other does not help either. You have to talk to each other, and unless we talk to each other, we will not find any common ground, and common grounds are always found. It sometimes takes years to find common ground. It takes baby steps to move, And those baby steps are taken, those conversations, and ultimately at the end of the day, the things which are achieved, they are achieved by the people who actually are known and called after they are gone as statesmen. You know, Oslo Accord was something which was a very good step. Jimmy Carter had Egypt and Israel normalize their relations, and then former President Bill Clinton tried to have a conversation and an accord between Israel and Palestine. At that time, Yasser Arafat and former Prime Minister Perez from Israel, even though the accord never got signed, but there was a consistent effort. Now I'm going to talk about, let us talk about some what is happening right here in the United States. The Congress is back in session after the Thanksgiving. That actually reminds me, happy Thanksgiving to the viewers, even though it is after Thanksgiving. But one of the holiday which I personally, the only reason I like it is because everything is shut and you get the chance to get together and meet the family. The Friday in between, you get the day off or you take the day off. So it becomes a 4-day weekend so that you can travel and you can enjoy family get-togethers. So before you get back into it, and that also signals the beginning of the holidays. In other words, shop, shop, shop. Shop till you die, like they say here. Anyway, so the Congress and Senate is back in Washington, D.C. We have a temporary CR, which is continuing resolution by the new Speaker, Speaker Johnson. And the issues are still out there. Those issues are not resolved, and how and when they will get resolved, I don't know. We will see. But in the meantime, on the Senate side, Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, who happens to be a Democrat, he has already said today that he's going to bring in that $106 billion aid to Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan to the floor. So if he's saying he's going to bring it to the floor, it means he knows that in the Senate it will be passed. So once it is passed in the Senate, then the House also has to pass it. In the House, there are divisions within. Of course, the Democrats are not going to support unless it is to their liking. For CR, the Democrats helped the new speaker, who got elected as a speaker after 3 weeks of no speaker at all, to pass this continuing resolution / CR. And there are people within the Republican Party who are not happy with that. And the Democrats are not going to help this new speaker, Speaker Johnson, with anything which they may not like. So, you know, at the beginning when Kevin McCarthy originally became the speaker, there were 15 votes before he became the speaker, and too much power was given to individual members to change the rules based on whatever they wanted so that he can have their vote. That actually costed him also. I will say something about the leadership. Leadership is not about making everybody happy. Leadership is about achieving what needs to be achieved for the country in this case. And that is where we see a lot of, we may have different opinions, but at the end of the day, we should look at what we want to achieve for the country. If we really don't look at that, then definitely we have issues, and sooner or later that becomes a big issue. Now the House has to actually pass one is February 19, the other one I think is January 17. There are two different big issues, including the defense spending and the budget. And believe it or not, for last couple of years, the full budget has not been actually passed in Congress, whether it was Democrat or Republicans. They always had these portions of the budget. They will pass it and work it, but not a collective whole budget as one item. So they have these divisions. Now the question will be how those people who actually are not happy with what he did, and he passed this whole CR with majority Democrats and minority Republicans, because majority of the Republicans out of their strength of 221 opposed it, or 220 right now. And also the senator, the congressman from here, Santos from Long Island District 3, he actually is about to get expelled, and another one from Florida, he also has issues, and there is also ethic reports coming out against him, or whatever comes out, and after that he may also become an issue. And the previous speaker, Kevin McCarthy, was not happy with that Congressman Gates, and the new speaker is also getting threatened by him. So we will see that how long this new speaker lasts, and at the end of the day, would we see any unity government, like they say in layman's term, where you have Republicans and Democrats having positions divided within the chairs within the government committees and the staffing of it? We don't know yet. And then on top of everything else, let's not forget, we have, like they say, the Grinch who destroyed the Christmas. We have the biggest elephant in the room, and that elephant is the former President Donald Trump. He does not want any government functioning at all, either way, whether those are Republicans or Democrats or anybody, because that serves actually him. See, we talk about dictatorships. What happens in dictatorships? In dictatorships, this is what happens. From the top, the order comes in, and you implement those orders. You have no right to question it. And that is what is happening here, And the current speaker, Johnson, after he got threatened by some of those loyalists to the former president, threatened to pull the rug from under him. They actually, the speaker actually went to Mar-a-Lago, where the former president lives right now, to meet him, like they say, to kiss the ring of the king. What will come out, I don't know. We will see. But in the meantime, what is happening, we do see a total collapse of a proper functioning, a proper conversations, up to the extent that even the Congress people from Republican and Democrats, some of them, they even don't talk to each other. I understand having the differences, I understand having the issues, but at the same time, what I don't understand is that if you get elected to, pass the laws, look at the laws which are good for the communities, and bring it up, pass or fail, bring it up to the floor, And this thing that, no, you can't bring it to the floor if it will not pass, let it go. But then again, then it becomes, the speaker has to resign because he brought up something to the floor and it did not pass. You know, we need to move beyond that. And again, it goes down to which I just said in my second segment, the statesmanship. We need the person and the people and the communities representatives who actually care about the issues, not about just who carries the gun, who carries abortion, who controls the abortion clinics, and who actually will tell you what to read and what not to read. We don't need those representatives. We need the representatives who care about you, about us, that what is good. Because if we as a community, as a group, as a nation, we are strong individually, that nation is strong. But if we are falling apart individually, the nation definitely is not strong. And that's where we are heading right now with our differences. You know, one thing which I would like to say before I get go for the break, that all these red state, like they say, they have quoted red state people, all these red state people, when they go out and they do ribbon cutting for new projects, whether those are construction projects, renovation of the bridges, or laying down of the FiOS cables in the rural areas, which never ever had those cables in the infrastructure bill which was passed by the current president Joe Biden. They take pride in it, but they all voted against it. That's what I'm talking about. If it is good for your constituents, then why you should not be voting for it? Why you should not be doing for it? I understand everything you cannot get everything, but at the same time, there are like baby steps to go to the bigger things. Team, we are walking into the last segment of the show, and with that, if we don't talk about the presidential election, the show is not complete. So we do have 2024 is around the corner. 2023, we are stepping into December in another 2 days. The issue actually, when we really look at it, is first of all, Trump is way ahead right now as we talk, no doubt about it. Now, let us go to the next person, Nikki Haley. She has been moving up. Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, from being on the top, then he went down and down. Now he's at the third place, and at some of the places he's even at the fourth place. So, and the first polling is not going to take place till 2024, but other internal polling and everything is already shaping up the election. And believe it or not, Koch brothers, who actually spent the most money in red states and to get the congressmen elected the way they wanted, the senators elected the way they wanted, who will listen to them, they have started working to get Nikki Haley as a candidate. They literally have picked her up over Donald Trump and DeSantis. So let us see where that will lead us to. But right now, one thing is for sure, okay? What happened in 2020 after the election, the so-called stolen election, I still get questions from a lot of young people when they come across me. They still ask me, and I tell them what I think, what's going on. And also at the same time, I'm also looking at where the whole world is moving. There's a movement going on towards more dictatorships. Okay, whether we like or we don't like it, Trump actually sort of was a dictator, and if he did not like the person or the person said no to him, he will just, tweet the message that the person is fired. And some of the people who felt that, okay, they have their own personal respect, they resigned before they got tweeted out. Okay, and Bill Barr at one point, Donald Trump told him in a meeting in the White House that he's fired, and he said fine. He left. While he was walking out of the White House, that's when they called him back and they told him, no, you have to stay. But he was smart enough to put in his resignation because he knew he read the writing on the wall that it is coming, it's better to leave. And he was the most honest soldier which Trump could have had. Then Trump also threw Mike Pence under the bus. We have the cases coming up. New York suit against the evaluation of the property values and stuff like that. That's not something which I'm more concerned about. What I'm more concerned about is what is happening actually with the document case in Mar-a-Lago with Jack Smith, and interestingly, Fannie Willis in Georgia, Fulton County. What would happen there? Some of those people who she charged with, they have already agreed to, cooperate, which means they have agreed to spill the beans for the boss. And that boss happens to be Donald Trump. Okay. Now, with that, next thing comes in, what we look at is how the others will proceed. Even though there is a small conversation going on between negotiations about having a settlement with the Trump and Mark Meadows and Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani actually in today's date is in a worse situation from all the sides. Once being hailed as mayor of America, today nobody really wants to go close to him. He has some other issues, plus he lied so much to have Trump stay in power that everybody is now talking about everybody's talking about those issues, and Rudy Giuliani actually literally is looking for a door to escape. And Mark Meadows actually provided information to Jack Smith, the Mar-a-Lago special prosecutor. That is something also we need to keep an eye on it. And also, before I go, it is going to be out next Tuesday when I come back. Liz Cheney is coming out with her book next week on Monday. Okay, we are not really fan of the books as Punjabis. We don't read much. There are few people who do read, but majority of us we don't. But I think we need to get into that reading and getting involved in all this thing. And that also reminds me, I came across this, I got this book. It is the memoir of B.D. Pandey, who was actually the governor of Punjab during 1983, at the end of the 83. And I just got this book yesterday, and he was there in 83, 84. And he actually has a lot of things to say. And one of the things which he actually mentioned was that General Sundarji was never in favor of attacking Golden Temple. And General Vaidya wanted to do that. As for also, Indira Gandhi also wanted to do it. But now the question is, once I read this book, I probably am going to share that with you also. But also I'm going to look for the book with the Liz Cheney when it comes out. And maybe if I get my hands on it next Monday, I will try to bring it on the show, and maybe we'll look at I will try to share if I can something. Now the question is coming back to those So how this will stack up, the primary and everything, how would we still have Donald Trump as a candidate versus Joe Biden? Joe Biden actually is being challenged by another person, Dean Phillips, within the Democratic Party. And how far he will succeed, I don't know. But they're definitely, and everybody is talking about Joe Biden's age. You know, it's really interesting that how the media has made his age as a biggest issue, but they will not talk about the age of Trump, who is only a couple of years short of the same age which Joe Biden is. They will not talk about the age of Joe Manchin, who is also 76, but they will talk about the age of Joe Biden. And that actually is not showing his achievements, what he has achieved. You know, some of his achievements are actually going to kick in 2024, especially for the old age people, you know, and the people who are diabetic, who have been paying anything north of $3,000 a month for insulin. That is capped at $35 a month, which is a big break if you really look at it. So, you know, those are the things which are coming in as we talk. And also how Ukraine and Hamas-Israel war is going to play out politically in America. You know, there is a conversation going on that the money should be invested in United States, the money should be kept here in the United States, and it should be invested in the United States. I understand that. But at the same time, we should not forget two things. Number one, if we have the freedoms which we enjoy today, it was because during the World War II, the soldiers, they paid the highest price to preserve what America is today, or the Western countries are today. At that time, France and England. Okay, we had Russia on one side, we have Germany from Hitler on the other side, and then we had America, which actually tried to preserve the democratic setups. We should not forget that. The fight of Ukraine and Russia, that is the fight of democracy. Fight of Hamas and Israel is a fight of survival of that neighborhood, that place on the planet where two people, they can live side by side peacefully, respecting each other. And we need to find the solutions. We need to take those baby steps on Palestinian Israel side, and we need to keep our eyes on Ukraine and Russia war as well. If we take our eyes away from it, our coming generations may pay a very heavy price, which we may not be around, but they will regret that our elders did not take the right steps when they should have taken those steps. With that note, till next time, good night and good luck.